Hello friends, once again thank you for watching my channel. I'm back here today to continue my discussion with you all regarding how to live with type 2 diabetics. So this is the part 2 of the type 2 diabetes that I say I will do today in continuation. So 3 topics that I'll be discussing today. How serious is type 2 diabetics? That's the first subheading. And my second topic I'll be discussing today is what causes type 2 diabetics. And then the third I'll be discussing today is the risk factors of type 2 diabetics. These are the 3 topics that I'll be doing in this video today. So this is the part 2 of how to live and manage diabetics. So how serious is type 2 diabetics? Now, I'm going to make it simple. Every diabetes is serious. Once you are certified to be a diabetic patient, it's serious. What matters is how serious you as an individual take it, to manage it, to treat it. So every diabetics is very serious. Now, 1, if either of your parents, like your father or your mother, is type 2 diabetics, you stand 15% chance of getting it. That's number 1. I'm talking about how serious is type 2 diabetics. And I've said 1. If either of your parents, either your mom or your dad, is type 2 diabetics, you as a child, a son or a daughter, has 15% of being type 2 diabetics. Number 2, if both parents, if your mom, your dad are both type 2 diabetics, you as a son, a daughter, has 75% of being type 2 diabetics. It's as simple as that. That's how serious type 2 diabetics is. There is something we call pre-borderline diabetics. When you are pre-borderline diabetics, it means that you are not yet a diabetic patient. You are on the borderline of being, once you cross that line threshold, then you become a diabetic patient. So there's something they call pre-borderline. In most cases, it's when you go for your usual tests, blood tests, urine tests, and then your doctor tests you out of inquisitiveness and says, let me check your blood sugar. And the result came back and says, and he sees it that you're on the borderline. That's what we call pre-diabetics. That's when the doctor is going to sit you down and then discuss with you seriously that I'm seeing a amber, what is called amber, yellow flashing light in your blood regarding your sugar, that you have to reduce your sugar intake because there's a yellow amber flashing that, hey guy, hey lady, you have to rethink what you eat. You have to now change your diet in order to make sure or reverse that trend, not to cross that line. That is what is called pre-borderline. And as a pre-diabetes or metabolic disorder type 2 diabetes, this can be prevented, can be avoided. When you're on the pre-borderline, it can be avoided. 2 things: dieting and exercise. If you're a pre-border diabetic or pre-borderline, you are not even a border, you are not yet a diabetic patient. So when your sugar level is pre-border, it can be avoided from becoming type 2 diabetics. And the 2 things that is essential for you as a person, as an individual, is change your diet and exercise. If you can combine those 2 things, you stand the chance of avoiding type 2 diabetics. Once you are on a pre-borderline, it is very, very important that you understand this. That is why I say you have to understand diabetics. That is why I've decided to follow this, to give my time and effort in educating my people, our people in Africa, the importance of understanding diabetics. Because what we generally in Africa understand about diabetes, it's a sugar problem. And then you go home and tell your wife or your husband, don't put sugar in my tea. That's it. No, you have to understand the basics. And if you can understand the basics of diabetics, then you have 60-70% chance of avoiding it, and you have bigger chance of living a longer period of time. So we have type 1 diabetes, we have type 2 diabetes, we have a pre-borderline diabetes. That's a warning sign that you have to change your diet and you have to bring in exercise in order to reverse it, that trend of going up. So the last thing I'm going to advise as a pre-borderline person, that the sugar level, sugar is on the pre-borderline is, or if you're a diabetic patient, let me just put it this way in general terms. If you're a diabetic patient, either type 1 or type 2 diabetes, I would advise you to join the low carb programs. It is very important. I did it. I have to put out time to go to know how to count my carbs. You join that low carb program, there they will teach you a lot of things, how to count your carbs, how to watch your diet, what and what not to eat. It is very, very important. Let me give you one example. If you go to a shop to buy something and then you look, I'm going to use something like this water as a sample. Okay, I'm not going to advertise the company because I'm not being paid to advertise. Now, if you look at the labeling here, It tells you what it contains in this water. So every food you buy, or every thing of food or kind of food you buy, or everything you buy in the shop has a labeling. I'm just giving you an example. Now, when you go to the shop, you watch the label and say, oh, okay, these have zero sugar. Oh, you know what? I think I'm going to eat this, good for me. No, look at the carb, look at the carbohydrate. It can be zero sugar, but look at the carbohydrate percentage. So don't just be carried away that because it's listed as the sugar content in this packaging is zero, that you are going to eat. No, you also have to look at the carbohydrate and look at the fiber. As a diabetic patient, your body needs more fiber than carbohydrate. So if the carbohydrate is high and the sugar is zero, just know that these carbohydrates will be converted into your body, into your bloodstream, into energy, because carbohydrate will convert it into sugar. The cells in your body need that insulin to convert those food from your bloodstream into energy. And so when you take in those carbohydrates, it converts it into sugar. But in the content, it shows zero. So that's why you have to understand counting carbs, okay? So even if the content says this is zero sugar, look at the carbohydrate quantity there. So you also have to know how to count your carb. So don't just go home and be eating it all the carbohydrate, because once it enters your body, it's going to convert it into glucose and into energy. And one thing again I'm going to stress again is, despite that you're a diabetic patient, does not mean you shouldn't take sugar. I'm going to put it in a single term. Your body needs sugar to operate, to function effectively. Without sugar, you can't do nothing. Sugar is that energy that you need. It's, for instance, let me make it a simple example. A car needs a fuel to operate. If you are driving a car and run out of fuel, that car cannot move. So if you don't have sugar, normal sugar in your blood, in your body system, if it goes low, you're going to be weak, you're going to be useless for that day, because you can't do anything until you give your body that sugar it needs to function properly. So your body needs some sugar to function properly. So that is why they say when you're a diabetic patient, you have to now eat in moderate, not as usual before, to make sure that your sugar in your bloodstream remains normal. Now, I'm going to go to the second topic. What are the causes of type 2 diabetics? The type 2 diabetics, the causes is when the hormone insulin is not used effectively. That is what I said in part 1 video. When the insulin is not used effectively to regulate the level of sugar in your bloodstream. Because the cells in your body need insulin to take the glucose from the bloodstream and then convert it into energy. The cells in your body need insulin to take the glucose from the bloodstream and then convert it into energy. So when your body cannot produce enough insulin to give to the cell to take glucose from your bloodstream and convert it to energy, you now resulting the tendency of the sugar level in your bloodstream keep going higher, and that is why you develop hyperglycemia. Okay, so this is the cause of type 2 diabetes, when it cannot effectively use or produce enough insulin in the body to regulate. I always use the word regulate or control the level of sugar in your bloodstream. Okay, now in advanced stage of type 2 diabetics, it may cause a lot of damages to your body organs. That is why that's what they call complication of diabetics. So you have to try as much as I can not allow you to go to that stage whereby your pancreas will be destroyed. Okay, leading to insufficient production of your body what it needs. So type 2 is when your body cannot produce enough insulin that the cell needs to take the glucose from your bloodstream and then convert it into sugar. And whereby it cannot perform that function, sugar continues to build in the bloodstream. And when it continues to build, it rises above the normal. That is what is called hyperglycemia. Then your pancreas is totally damaged. So that is what is the cause of type 2 diabetics. Now, the third topic I'm going to be discussing is type 2 diabetics risk factors. If you're type 2 diabetics, there are some factors, let me put it this way, there are some number of factors that can lead to increase of type 2 diabetics in you. Obesity, when you're overweight. When you're overweight, okay, that's why you have to reduce your weight. When you're overweight, you have the risk of having type 2 diabetics, okay? Eating unhealthy food, you have to watch your diet when you eat all those junk food. So let me repeat it. What are the risk factors of type 2 diabetics? 1, being overweight, obesity. 2, having a waist size of 1.5 inches or more for the women or 37 inches for the men. Eating unhealthy diet. Physical inactivity. lack of exercise, okay, having high blood pressure or raised cholesterol. These are the topic I'm going to be discussing in future. Having high blood pressure or raised cholesterol, smoking, being South Asian and African Caribbean descent. These are the risk factors of developing type 2 diabetes. And it can also be influenced by genetics or environmental factors. Okay, so my friends, these are the 3 topics that I'll be covering in this part 2. There will be part 3 in this topic of how to live and manage type 2 diabetes. So once again, I thank you for watching my video, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel so that any subsequent video I drop, you'll be the first to receive it. Once again, thank you. Bye.